Welcome. Today I'm going to share some basic idea on habitat and niche. Habitat, as the name implies, it is a place or address where we can encounter an organism. So, a habitat it is the address or place of location. Now the next term, niche, that is the address or the habitat along with the functional role played by that organism. After interacting with the various environmental gradients. This may be temperature, moisture, pH, soil, and other factors which can regulate the establishment of that particular organism in that situation. It actually represents the niche or the hypervolume. So habitat is the address where a particular organism live, and the niche is the address along with the functional role represented by that organism. So in this way, we can understand the role and importance of various environmental constraints and the gradients to establish a particular organism. And they are very much pivotal, and they can differentiate various types of habitats. And depending on this condition, organism can evolve some local variation. So the niche is very important to understand its various interaction with the environment. Now, the niche may be of, basically is of two types. The first one is known as its basic or the fundamental niche. And the second one is known as realized or restricted niche or restricted. So the fundamental or the basic niche represents where a particular organism found in a particular area, and there is no competition or interaction or any type of disturbances. This is known as fundamental niche. Actually, these two things first time established by Sir Hutchinson. The maximum abstractly inhabited hypervolume. That is, when the species is not constrained by competition or any other limiting biotic interaction. The second one, the realized or restricted niche, it's a smaller hypervolume occupied under particular biotic interaction. So in certain cases, that is in the realized or restricted niche, they have a less amount or less area than the first condition. And whenever they are overlap or they approach each other due to several severe competition and in other interaction, it may result in divergence. So this condition I'll show you in the next image. This is the first condition where there is no interaction. They are completely separated. Upper diagram, the two species occupy. Just imagine this is species A, this is species B. They are interacting with each other, but they are in a non-overlapping condition. And in the second case, just imagine a condition and in this condition they are overlapping and they are very much interacting with each other, so that there may be a severe competition and other biotic interactions which leads to divergence. So severe competition leads to divergence. This is the condition. So the first condition for this two species, we use the term the fundamental niche. Fundamental niche. And in the second condition, we can use the term realized or restricted niche. So in this way, two species may interact with each other. Now, just follow this graph. In this graph, we want to establish the use of resource and the niche dimension pattern. Here we use two species, species J and the species K. When they are interacting with each other and there is an overlap, this is the niche overlap region represented by the dotted portion. And this is the distance of these two peaks, one of the species J and one of the species K. And this is the niche breadth of species J. And if we want to consider the niche breadth for species K, then we have to consider this portion. This is the niche breadth for species K. So this is the activity curves for two species along a single resource dimension, how they are interacting. Now this interaction, we can explain this interaction depending on whether they are intraspecific interaction or interspecific interaction. Okay, so this is the optimum condition. And this is the condition when there is a intraspecific competition. And in intraspecific competition, they tend to move in less favorable or marginal areas. And the species are mostly spread out and they are moving in the marginal areas. This is in the case of intra, that is within species competition. And in this case, when there is an interspecific competition, that is between species, between two species, the species tend to be restricted to a narrower range, very slow and steep gradient, very narrow region, representing the optimum conditions for their establishment. So this is the condition how in intraspecific and in interspecific competition species react. And there is a general pattern that the niches, they show a narrow representation with interspecific competition. So in this way, the niche or hypervolume or a three-dimensional space, they represent themselves in ecology. So in this representation, initially we learn what actually a habitat indicate and what is the difference with habitat and the niche. Then the types of niche, that is the fundamental or the basic, and the realized or restricted, how they interact, and the activity curves, and finally the effects of competition on habitat distribution. Thank you.